Hi, this is trepacer, and this is going to be my spoiler review of Amazing Spider-Man 2. I'm going to talk about everything in this that I can remember from Amazing Spider-Man 2. And okay, let's get. Like I said, the movie begins basically giving you the backstory that about the parents and how they left Peter behind, and with his Aunt Gwen and not Gwen, Aunt May and Uncle Ben, and they basically you find out that Peter Parker's father, Richard Parker, has found out that Oscorp has been using his research and actually going to sell it to a foreign country. So, and you actually find out that he actually included some of his DNA in the experiment, so that way he could have a safety guard in case they try to use his experiments. They wouldn't work, which I thought was a nice reveal, which is which kind of explains Spider-Man what happens with Spider-Man, and which kind of pertains to something that happens later, which I'll discuss with Harry Osborn and Spider-Man. Okay, but anyway, so you get a nice little action scene in the beginning where they actually show them on a plane getting going away, and and basically they wind up getting killed or supposedly killed. And I could see it looked like the mother got shot and then maybe she died and the plane was going down. But I think based on the comic book and based on the animated show that used to be on Fox, his parents could be alive, and I wouldn't be surprised if you saw them in Amazing Spider-Man 3. Okay, if they go that route, but who knows? They may and bring them back, which I think would be great. But anyway, so you bounce to the present day, and basically you see Glenn giving a speech. They're graduating from I think that's from college, right? She's giving a commencement speech, and she's talking about you got to live for live for now and everything else, and which is a nice foreshadowing of what's going to happen later in the movie. But she gives this great speech, and at the same time, you see Spider-Man basically fighting Rhino, who's trying to steal this. He's trying to steal this isotope, platinum. I think it's plutonium or whatever it's supposed to be from Oscorp. He has the 14 wheel or whatever it is. He's crashing cars, driving down and stuff, and the Spider-Man is winging down. And another thing I said I love, which I said in my other review, it's minor spoiler, was I love the way Spider-Man moves in this movie and the joking around and the joking, that little confrontation he has with the Rhino is just fantastic, which you see in the trailer and stuff. With Rhino spitting the machine gun at him and him dodging it and stuff and webbing him up and dropping his pants, and I thought that was hilarious. Okay, and then Peter just makes it to graduation. Okay, just in the nick of time, he makes it back, and you see him. You can tell him and Gwen are still seeing each other. And then later on, he starts to, like I said, he's seeing Gwen Stacy's father, played by Dennis Leary, in wherever he is. He's seeing his image. He's remembering the promise that he made to him that when he was dying that he wouldn't see Gwen. He would that he'll be in danger, that he'll stay away. But of course he can't, and that kind of leads to their kind of first breakup in the movie, where he's supposed to go meet them for dinner, and then she sees him out hanging outside, and she comes out, and he's telling her, listen, I keep seeing your father everywhere, and I remember my promise I made to him to stay away from you, and because I couldn't stand if anything happened to you. And she said, well, this is my choice. He said that wasn't his choice. He said, this is my choice to see you. And of course, he's still kind of hemming and hawing because he really, of course, they really love each other, and he really doesn't want anything to happen to her. And she kind of breaks up with him, and then he kind of goes off. And also at the same time, you see the appearance of Harry Osborn. He comes back. He's actually been away. They kind of explain that he's been away in boarding school, and he comes to see his father, Norman Osborn, who's on his deathbed, and he basically tells him, listen, Harry's resentful for being sent away, and his father's telling him, listen, are you feeling it yet? The slight tremor in your hand, you got this genetic condition which causes you to deteriorate, and he's basically telling him, listen, the only thing I can leave you is all my knowledge and stuff, and that's and that's it. So Harry, of course, he's still feeling, you can tell he is feeling this because his father tells him it's genetic and you're going to get it too. You probably already got it. Okay, which he does. Okay, and of course, when Harry, Norman Osborn dies, Peter, sees a report about, Harry coming back, and he actually goes to see him, and they kind of get caught up and reminisce, and Peter kind of thanks him for being there when his parents, went missing, and never came back, and so they kind of bond a little bit, and then you have Max, played by Jamie Foxx, who's Max/Electro, and they give you a little bit of his backstory and how he designed this electric grid, and how he didn't get credit for it, and he's basically on his birthday has to stand back and fix some electrical problem that they have in Oscorp, and of course that's when he has his accident and he falls, and the effect when he falls down there and he gets basically shocked by all these eels and basically turned into Electro, literally. Okay. And of course Oscorp kind of covers it up, and they actually contain him, and I think it was Ravencroft, right? That's the institute. They kind of hide him there. Actually no, that's not. I'm ahead of myself. Before that happens, he actually goes out on the street, and actually when he wakes up from the accident, everybody think he's dead, but he actually wakes up, and that's when you see him, that shot you see him in Times Square where he has the hood over his head, and he's kind of wandering around and absorbing power and left and right, and then that's when he has his first little confrontation with Spider-Man, and he's in Times Square, and the cops see him because he's sucking out energy from underneath the grid, underneath the suit, the grates. He's sucking energy, and the cops, pull their guns on him, and of course he proceeds to lash out at them with electricity, and of course then he sees his whole images on the billboards in Times Square on the monitors, and you can tell he has basically, I think like J.W. Universe says in his review of Amazing Spider-Man 2, like he needs a hug. but anybody that takes the spotlight off him, he goes nuts, and of course Spider-Man comes to try to save the day, and at first of course he can't remember Max's name, but then he does remember it, when Max tells him what his name is. He says, "Yeah, you're my eyes and ears," and then of course when the spotlight comes back on Spider-Man and everybody's cheering for him, Electro goes nuts, and that shot, they released a scene of it. You see that in Times Square where he just basically shoots electricity out, and he catches the cab, and he stops everybody from getting electrocuted. And then of course Spider-Man stops him, and then he gets sent to Ravencroft, where Oscorp kind of buries him, and to forget about him. And at the same time, Harry finds out. Oh yeah, he finds out by reading the research. Because I forgot to say, before Norman died, he gave Harry this disc that had all the information about him and Richard Parker's experiments and stuff, and how I think I'm trying to remember the way it was. Oh yeah, that the blood of that spider thing. How spider regenerates and stuff, and that if he can get some of Spider-Man's blood, he can cure himself possibly. And he basically goes to Peter and tells Peter, "Listen, you've taken all these pictures of Spider-Man. Can you help me meet Spider-Man? I just need some of his blood." And of course, he's hesitant to do this because he doesn't know if his blood will really hurt or help Harry. He doesn't want to take a chance with that, but he tells him he'll do it. And then, sure enough, he sends Spider-Man to and he actually tells him no. He tells him no at first. He said, "No, I can't." And of course, Harry goes nuts. Spider-Man won't help him. And then, of course, he also finds that this corporation is being taken from him by this. I forgot the actor's name. Who plays like one of these high-powered execs that actually went to get Harry from boarding school. He kind of sets it up where he's going to blame Harry for everything and force him out of his company. It actually does force him out of his company, but not before Harry finds out about all the secret experiments and also about where they got Electro at, in Ravencroft, and then he decides, you know what, I'm gonna go, get my, get Electro, and we're gonna get Spider-Man. I'm gonna get my cure, and I'm gonna, battle all my enemies. Okay, and that's what he does. He goes to get Electro, and he actually frees him from Ravencroft, and they team up. Okay, so that's the only team up, direct team up. They, right there, that meeting, and I like that meeting where he basically explains to Electro that, yeah, we'll let you get Spider-Man, and of course, Harry goes, and they actually go back. Once he frees Electro, he goes back to Oscorp because he needs Electro to get into Oscorp. Because of course he got kicked out of the company, and of course Electro makes a nice easy path for him, and and he gets taken to the special division where they have all the secret experiments. Doc Ock's arms and the wing, Vulture's wings, and he actually sees the venom that was treated by Richard Parker, Spider's venom that by the radioactivity, and then he actually injects himself with it while he lets Electro get the grid that he created. He says you can have the grid now, so Electro can suck up all the power he wants. So meanwhile, Harry injects himself with the spider venom, and of course it changes him literally into a goblin. And then you see where he's crawling, and then you see the suit, the goblin suit, and the jet, and the wing, little wing thing that that he glides around on. And of course, then you have Spider-Man trying to stop. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention him and Gwen. Like I said, they have this kind of push-pull relationship. Even though, like I said, they broke up in the beginning of the movie, towards the beginning of the movie, they kind of have their moments, where they run into each other and stuff, and they have little cute moments in a closet. Okay, and there's this moment where Gwen is trying, after Electro's first appearance, she tries to find out, she recognizes that it's Max, and she tries to find him in the database. But of course, Oscorp wiped him out, and then anybody that's trying to look for that, they actually try to come after her. But Peter kind of shows up at the same time and kind of rescues her in a comic kind of way, which was extremely funny. And like I said, they have their moments where they, you could tell that they really want to be together, even though they're kind of still pushing each other away. And Gwen is about to get the scholarship to study in Oxford, so she's actually, going to go away. And I just like the chemistry between Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone. They have really good chemistry, and it's apparent. Like I said, it makes you care about their characters. And like I said, the big climax is where he's fighting Spider-Man. He's adjusted with the help of Gwen. He's adjusted his web shooter so now he can fight Electro more evenly, and they have their big confrontation, which looks absolutely fantastic. Them going through the power grids and stuff. That was good. And he defeats Electro, but of course, who shows up? The Goblin. Even though they don't call him the Goblin, he shows up. And Gwen helps. I forgot to mention Gwen. He actually tried to keep Gwen away, but Gwen actually tells him, "Listen, I'm the one that can turn on the electric grid back on once." Because they have this plan to take down Electro, which they execute, and then later, like I said, she comes, and when Goblin shows up, and he sees Gwen and Spider-Man there, he puts two and two together, and because he actually had a moment early in the movie where he actually explained to Harry about him and Gwen's kind of relationship, how they kind of on and off, and it's complicated, and so he figures out once he shows up as the Goblin and seeing them two together that that's Peter Parker, is Spider-Man. He figures that out, and then of course he snatches her, and Spider-Man giving chase, and then you have the scene that you see in the trailer where he drops her from a distance, and Spider-Man grabs her and he twists her around and he saves her, and then later, him and Goblin are battling, and of course Gwen drops down and he saves her for the moment. Okay, and then you have this the tension in the scene with him fighting and Gwen hanging by the web, and then of course then you get the climactic scene where she starts to fall and Spider-Man does the thing where he dives after her, and then I thought they weren't going to do it, but I should have known. And I like the way they executed it. And he spins down and shoots the web and grabs her, but not before she snaps back. And you can tell when she snaps back and bam, and it's too late and she dies. And Andrew Garfield was also powerful in that scene where he realizes again just what his greatest fear was, that something would happen to her, did happen to her, and she died, and that it absolutely destroyed him, of course. And you see, there's the funeral, and then you see him going to the grave, through the winter, the spring, and I think in the movie time it's supposed to be like 6 months where he doesn't even act like he doesn't be Spider-Man. He just basically visits Gwen's grave, and it's just with a heavy heart, and until he actually I think it was Aunt May that actually said something to him that made him go back out there. And he went back out there, and of course you see a little boy that he actually I think he saved a little boy earlier in the movie, and you see that boy actually when you see Rhino actually shows up again at the end, and this time there's a scene after Spider-Man defeats Goblin, and Garfield is in jail, and I think he gets getting visited by Smythe, the character of Smythe, and he tells him, "Listen, I want to get a group together, a small group, okay?" And he shows the vulture's wings and the ox arms and the Rhino gear, and he says, "Break this guy out of prison." You see the guy Paul Giamatti, the Rhino. You see him, this guy's a match. We can use this guy too. And then later you see he actually this time the Rhino has a mechanical suit, and of course he's tearing up in Midtown, shooting at cops and everything else. And this young boy actually goes under the barricade that Spider-Man saved earlier and puts on his Spider-Man outfit. He puts on the mask and confronts him. And of course Rhino laughs at that. And then of course until the real Spider-Man shows up and tells the kid, "You're a brave kid now. Go to your mom." And then you get that scene that you see in the trailer, which is actually the last scene in the movie with him, Spider-Man, joking around and grabbing avoiding the missiles and taking the manhole cover and swinging it at Rhino, and then it goes off like that. Okay, like I said, I enjoyed this movie. Like I said, I know a lot of people, they cut a lot of parts out. Oh yeah, I'm sorry. The Gwen speech. Because I'm trying to remember the speech because what she was saying basically like live, how young people think they can live forever, and I think she was basically saying you got to live for now, and this is our path that we have to live for now, and don't be afraid of what may come, and just enjoy the moment. I think that was the gist of her speech, which is I think that's what gets Peter back out there. They recorded. I think Aunt May recorded the speech, and he listens to it. About Gwen saying, "Enjoy the moment now. Don't worry about the future. Enjoy the moment now, okay, and live for the moment now." And that really her speech, her graduation speech, inspires him to go back out there after being off from Spider-Man for 6 months. After being devastated that she died, and he goes back out there, and I thought that tied in nicely. Now I know they cut out a lot of parts to this movie. They did because they filmed a lot of parts with Shannon Woodley as Mary Jane Parker. Not Mary Jane Parker, Mary Jane Watson, excuse me. They cut those parts out, and of course there's that scene that you see in the trailer where after Harry and Peter meet again, and he goes, "Oscorp had you under surveillance." You go, "Why?" He said, "Isn't that the question? Isn't that the question of the day?" That's not in the movie at all. And even the part where Norman Osborn goes, "Everybody doesn't get a happy ending, not even Peter." Peter. No, I think Harry goes to Norman, "What about Peter Parker?" And he goes, "No, everybody doesn't get a happy ending." So they edited those parts out of the movie, okay. But I had no problem with it, and I know that a lot of people said that the structure was off, but not a problem for me. I enjoyed the movie. I thought it was great. Like I said, not as good as Captain America: Winter Soldier. I give it that, but I still enjoyed the movie. I think it's a notch below Captain America: Winter Soldier, but still an enjoyable comic book movie. And I like where they're going with the story. They're perfectly setting up the Sinister Six. I thought that was great. And there was a character named Felicia in the movie. I don't think it's Felicia Hardy. The Black Cat is Felicia Hardy. Usually had a blonde hair, I think. So I don't think that's her. Although I did think for a minute when Harry's new assistant, her name was Felicia, I thought maybe she might, you never know, maybe they might throw her in Spider-Man 3, Felicia Hardy, and make her the Black Cat. Who knows? I wouldn't mind seeing that. But anyway, I'm assuming that in Spider-Man 3, when that comes out, Mary Jane Watson is going to be in it. And Shannon Whitley, I think they said that she's filming Divergent, so she probably won't be in it. So they have to cast a new Mary Jane Parker. And I'm putting my bid in for, not to be Mary Jane. But what's her name? Alexandra Daddario. And for those who don't know who she is, I'm going to put a picture in here right now. She was my choice to be Wonder Woman, okay? Put it that way. I did a review change past with Ramblings, issue volume 1. And she was in True Detective. She was the girlfriend of Woody Harrelson's character. She was in that awful Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3D movie. Okay, she's in the Percy Jackson movie. She was the the girl. I forgot her character's name, but she was like the main lead actress in those 2 movies. And she was on a soap opera, All My Children One Time. But here's a picture of her. Yeah, she's gorgeous. Okay, but she would be a great Mary Jane Watson because let's face it, Mary Jane Watson has to be a knockout. Okay, and I think she could have good chemistry with Andrew Garfield, but we'll see who they pick. Okay, anyway, I hope you enjoyed my spoiler review of Captain America, Amazing Spider-Man 2. Okay, I really enjoyed it. Again, I gave it an 8.5. Okay, like I said, I know people had problems with the structure, and like I said, I know they kind of had to edit things out because they didn't do the story as planned. Because, like I said, they had Shannon Whitley in it, and then they cut her part out, and then they had that part with. I think they had a different thread with Harry and Norman Osborn, because that scene that you said what when he basically said Oscorp had you under surveillance, and he said, "Isn't that the question of the day?" Right? But that part's not even in the movie. And everybody doesn't have an happy ending. That's not in the movie either. So, but I still like the way they put together the movie, and it works for me. So I enjoyed it. So again, 8.5. Okay, and that's below Captain America: Winter Soldier, but still enjoyable. And I love the way Spider-Man moves. Love the chemistry. I love the way Andrew Garfield portrays Spider-Man. So no problem at all. Okay, anyway, let me know what you think. For those who see, feel free to leave comments down below. And this is Trepacer saying so long and take care.